Have you ever found yourself stuck in the endless loop of chasing after more, only to realize that the pursuit never truly satisfies you? You're constantly striving for something, whether it's the next promotion at work, a new car, or even an elusive relationship, and when you finally get it, the happiness is short-lived, leaving you to wonder, is this really all there is? You're not alone. In fact, millions of people all over the world share this feeling. The modern world pushes us to constantly pursue bigger, better, more, and in the process, we lose sight of what's right in front of us, the small, everyday moments that are not only fleeting but also precious beyond measure. But what if I told you that true happiness, lasting peace, and contentment don't come from reaching the next milestone or accumulating more possessions? What if the key to living a fulfilled life is buried in the simple moments that we tend to overlook? I want to take you on a journey today, one that could change the way you see the world and transform your life. Imagine if instead of focusing on what you don't have, you could embrace the present, appreciating each moment as unique, unrepeatable, and beautiful in its own right. Sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it? But what if it's exactly what you need to hear right now? What if there's wisdom in ancient teachings that could unlock a new level of peace in your life? In today's video, we'll explore a powerful philosophy from Buddhism and Japanese culture that can completely change your perspective on life. It's called Ichigo Ichie, a concept that literally translates to one time, one meeting. This idea teaches us that every moment we experience is a once-in-a-lifetime event, something that can never be recreated. It's all about embracing the beauty of each passing second and fully appreciating life as it unfolds, instead of constantly chasing what's next. But don't worry, this isn't about meditation or following a rigid set of rules. It's about learning how to live with intention and presence. Before we dive in, I want you to think about this. When was the last time you truly, fully, and completely experienced a moment in your day? I'm not talking about your routine tasks where you're half focused on the next thing. I mean, when was the last time you took a pause, really looked around, and soaked in everything happening in that moment? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be equipped with practical ways to bring this wisdom into your own life without needing to completely overhaul everything you know. All you need is a little shift in perspective. If you're ready to unlock the secret to true joy, peace, and fulfillment, then make sure you're not just watching this as background noise. Pay attention, take notes, and open your heart to the possibility of living a life where each moment matters. But before we get started, if you enjoy content that dives deep into meaningful topics, provides practical wisdom, and helps you create a more balanced, fulfilled life, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with friends or family who could use this perspective shift as well. It really helps the channel grow and spread this positive message. Now, let's begin our journey into the art of living with intention and presence, where each moment is a gift, waiting to be unwrapped. In the fast-paced, achievement-oriented world we live in, it often feels as though life is a race, a constant striving toward the next milestone, the next promotion, or the next big event that promises to bring fulfillment. We work, we struggle, we sacrifice, believing that happiness is something that lies ahead of us, just out of reach. Yet, when we achieve these goals, we often find that the satisfaction is fleeting. Instead of lasting happiness, we are left with an emptiness, a feeling that something is missing, and we begin the chase again, perpetually in search of the next big thing. This cycle of pursuit and disappointment can feel exhausting and unfulfilling. But what if the key to happiness isn't found in more possessions or bigger accomplishments? What if the path to true joy is found in the moments we experience every day, those moments that are so often overlooked because we're too busy chasing the next goal? This is where the timeless wisdom of Buddhism offers us a profound shift in perspective. Rather than viewing life as a race, Buddhism invites us to embrace life as a fleeting masterpiece, a unique and irreplaceable journey that deserves to be savored, appreciated, and lived in full presence. One of the most significant Buddhist philosophies that can help us shift our mindset is the concept of Ichigo Ichie, a Japanese term that translates roughly to one time, one meeting. At its core, Ichigo Ichie reminds us that every moment is unique and unrepeatable. Every encounter, every experience, no matter how ordinary it may seem, is a once-in-a-lifetime event. This philosophy urges us to slow down and embrace the present, to truly savor each moment rather than racing through life focused solely on the next achievement. In a world that values speed, efficiency, and constant progress, it's easy to forget that life is not a puzzle to be solved, nor a race to the finish line. Life is not about reaching some final destination, but about experiencing the richness of each moment, each interaction, each breath. Yet, how often do we let these precious moments slip away unnoticed because we are too focused on what lies ahead? How many times have we rushed through a conversation, missed the beauty of nature around us, or ignored the joy of a simple task, all because we were thinking about the next thing on our to-do list? Buddhist philosophy teaches us to live with mindfulness, to bring our full attention to whatever we are doing in the present moment. Whether we are walking, eating, working, or even just sitting still, each moment is an opportunity to be fully present. The simple act of savoring a cup of coffee or listening to the laughter of a friend can transform from a mundane task to a profound experience if we approach it with mindfulness and appreciation. Take, for example, the everyday experience of eating. We often rush through meals without truly tasting or appreciating the food in front of us. We might grab a quick snack in the car, eat lunch while checking our emails, or finish dinner while watching TV. In each case, we're not truly engaging with the moment. We're simply going through the motions. But what if we could take a moment to pause, to fully engage our senses, to savor the taste, the texture, the smell of the food? What if, as we eat, we could bring our full attention to the present moment, appreciating the nourishment and pleasure that comes from simply eating? This practice of mindfulness in everyday activities is a cornerstone of Buddhist philosophy. It's not about adding more things to your life, but rather about fully engaging with what is already there. This shift in focus from striving for more to appreciating what we already have can make all the difference in our experience of life. It's about recognizing that joy doesn't come from future achievements or distant dreams, but from the present moment. In the same way, we can find beauty in the simplest of things around us, whether it's the sound of birds singing in the morning, the smell of fresh rain, or the feeling of a cool breeze on a hot day. These moments may seem small and insignificant, but they are the threads that weave the tapestry of our lives. When we give them our full attention, they have the power to fill us with joy, peace, and contentment. And it is through this appreciation of the present that we begin to cultivate a deeper sense of happiness and fulfillment. This is not a new idea. In fact, the practice of mindfulness and presence has been a core teaching in Buddhism for thousands of years. The Buddha himself taught that the path to enlightenment is found in fully experiencing each moment, in seeing the world with fresh eyes, free from distraction and attachment. In his teachings, he often emphasized the importance of mindfulness, urging his followers to be fully present in everything they do, to let go of regrets about the past and worries about the future, and to simply experience life as it unfolds. But how do we begin to cultivate this practice of mindfulness in our own lives? One of the first steps is to slow down. In a culture that values speed and productivity, it can be challenging to slow down and fully engage with the present moment. But if we are constantly rushing from one task to the next, we are missing the richness of life that is unfolding right in front of us. Imagine walking through a park, distracted by your phone or lost in thought, only to realize that you've passed by a beautiful flower garden without even noticing it. The flowers were there, but you weren't present enough to appreciate them. Now, imagine walking through the same park with full attention. You notice the colors of the flowers, the smell of the blossoms, the way the sunlight filters through the leaves. You pause to take it all in, and in that moment, you experience a profound sense of peace and joy. That's the power of mindfulness, to transform ordinary moments into extraordinary ones by giving them your full attention. One simple exercise that can help us cultivate mindfulness is to reflect on the small moments of joy we experience each day. At the end of each day, take a moment to think about 3 things that brought you happiness, no matter how small they may have been. Maybe it was the sound of laughter during a conversation with a friend, the satisfaction of completing a task, or the feeling of warmth from the sun on your skin. By reflecting on these moments, we train our minds to notice the beauty in the present, and we begin to shift our focus away from what we lack to what we already have. This practice of gratitude and mindfulness is especially important in a world that constantly tells us we need more to be happy. In the consumer-driven culture we live in, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that happiness comes from acquiring things, whether it's the latest gadget, a new outfit, or a bigger house. We are constantly bombarded with messages that tell us we need more to be happy. But the truth is that true happiness doesn't come from what we have, but from how we experience the world around us. The simple act of appreciating the small, everyday moments of life can bring us a deeper sense of fulfillment than any material possession ever could. When we focus on the present and practice gratitude for what we have, we begin to see that life is overflowing with treasures, small moments of beauty, joy, and peace that are often hidden in plain sight. These moments are the true gifts of life, and they are available to us every day, if only we take the time to notice them. At the heart of Buddhist philosophy is the understanding that life is impermanent. Everything changes, and nothing lasts forever. This impermanence can be unsettling, but it also offers us the freedom to live more fully. When we realize that each moment is fleeting, we are more likely to appreciate it, to savor it, to be fully present in it, instead of rushing through life, trying to control the outcome of every situation. We learn to embrace the flow of life, to let go of the need for control, and to trust in the process. In conclusion, the teachings of Buddhism, particularly the concept of Ichigo Ichie, offer us a powerful reminder to slow down, to embrace the present moment, and to appreciate the beauty and joy that can be found in the simplest of things. By practicing mindfulness, gratitude, and acceptance of life's impermanence, we can shift our focus from the endless pursuit of more to a deep appreciation for what we already have. When we do this, we open ourselves to a richer, more fulfilling life, one that is filled with joy, peace, and presence. In the rush of modern life, we often find ourselves trapped in a cycle of perpetual motion, constantly pushing ahead to meet deadlines, complete tasks, and achieve goals. Every day can feel like a checklist, where the only thing that matters is moving from one item to the next. We race to meet appointments, rush to finish work, and hurry through relationships, as though time itself is something to be conquered. But what if the true essence of life isn't about rushing toward the future, or checking off boxes on a to-do list? What if life is instead a series of fleeting, beautiful moments that we pass by, too focused on what's next to truly appreciate what's now? The Buddhist concept of Ichigo Ichie, which translates roughly to one time, one meeting, offers a profound reminder that each moment is unique and irreplaceable. Every interaction, every experience, no matter how mundane it may seem, is an opportunity to connect with the present and appreciate the world in all its fleeting beauty. In the context of our busy lives, this concept asks us to pause and reflect not just on the big milestones but on the smaller, quieter moments that often go unnoticed. Take, for instance, something as simple as drinking a cup of coffee in the morning. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to rush through such a routine task, already thinking about what comes next, whether it's a meeting at work, the laundry waiting to be folded, or the myriad of tasks that make up our daily responsibilities. In this rush, we miss the richness of the moment. But imagine, instead, taking just a few seconds to savor the experience. Feel the warmth of the cup in your hands, inhale the aroma of the coffee, and truly appreciate the simple act of drinking it. That moment, though fleeting, can transform into something deeply joyful if we approach it with mindfulness and presence. Buddhism teaches that no moment is ever the same as the last, and no moment can ever be recreated. Each one is like a snowflake, unique, delicate, and ephemeral. We are constantly moving through these moments, sometimes too quickly, and we often fail to see how precious they are. When we focus too much on achieving the next big thing, whether it's a career milestone, a new possession, or an accomplishment, we miss the beauty that lies in the present. We forget that life is not about reaching some final destination, but about experiencing each moment as it comes. This idea isn't just about appreciating the big moments in life: weddings, promotions, vacations, or accomplishments. It's about finding value in the small, everyday experiences that we often overlook. Think about a recent time when you were outside in nature, perhaps walking in a park, standing on the shore of a beach, or hiking up a mountain. These moments, if we are fully present for them, can be deeply enriching. The warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of leaves rustling in the wind, the sight of birds soaring overhead, the waves crashing on the shore, these are all experiences that are unique to that very moment. You will never walk that same path again. You will never stand in that exact spot with that exact light and weather ever again. The next time you step outside, the scenery might be similar, but it will never be the same. This is the heart of the Buddhist teaching of Ichigo Ichie. Each moment, each meeting, is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The reality is that no two moments are identical, and once a moment has passed, it's gone forever. We can never go back and relive it. However, what we can do is embrace it fully while it lasts, appreciating the present for what it is, without trying to speed through it in the hope that something better lies ahead. It's easy to overlook the significance of these small moments because they don't seem important in the grand scheme of things. We live in a society that emphasizes progress, success, and efficiency. We're taught to constantly look forward, to focus on future goals, and to measure our worth by what we achieve. But in doing so, we miss out on the richness of the present. The moments that we brush aside as insignificant are, in fact, the very fabric of life. If we take the time to reflect, we might realize that our lives are filled with these moments, these small experiences that bring joy, peace, and contentment. And yet, so often, we're too preoccupied with what we're doing next to notice them. For example, think about a conversation you had with a friend recently. How often do we find ourselves distracted during conversations, thinking about what we have to do later or what's happening tomorrow? But if we focus on being present during these interactions, truly listening, and giving our full attention to the person in front of us, the moment becomes much richer and more meaningful. The simple act of being present in the now can transform an ordinary exchange into something deeply fulfilling. The idea of savoring these small, fleeting moments also applies to the more mundane aspects of life. Take a simple daily task, like doing the dishes. It's easy to think of it as a chore, a task to get out of the way as quickly as possible so we can move on to something else. But what if we approached it with more awareness? What if, instead of rushing through it, we slowed down and fully engaged with the process? The feel of the warm water, the sound of plates clinking, the sense of satisfaction as the kitchen becomes tidy, all of these details can be experienced as moments of mindfulness. By slowing down and appreciating the task for what it is, we turn it into something more than just a routine. It becomes an opportunity to engage with the present moment. This is where the practice of mindfulness comes into play. By training ourselves to be present in each moment, we open ourselves up to a richer, more fulfilling experience of life. Mindfulness is not just about sitting on a cushion in meditation. It's about bringing our full attention to whatever we're doing, whether it's eating, walking, talking, or working. It's about being aware of our thoughts, feelings, and sensations in real time, without judgment or distraction. And when we do this, the world around us comes alive in a way that it never does when we're distracted or rushing. Another important aspect of this practice is that it can help us cultivate gratitude. When we become aware of the beauty of each moment, we naturally begin to feel more thankful for what we have, for the experiences we are having, and for the people we are sharing them with. Gratitude, in turn, has been shown to have numerous benefits, including improved mood, greater life satisfaction, and better physical health. By simply taking the time to notice the little things that bring us joy, we can shift our mindset from one of lack to one of abundance. A personal example of this can be found in something as simple as a daily walk. Many of us take walks to get exercise or to clear our minds, but we may not realize how much more these walks can offer us if we pay attention. If we start to notice the small details, the way the leaves rustle in the breeze, the sound of birds chirping, the way the light filters through the trees, it transforms the walk from a mere physical activity into a rich sensory experience. The more we do this, the more we find that life is full of these small treasures, waiting to be uncovered in the simplest of moments. But perhaps the most profound realization that comes with embracing the uniqueness of every moment is that it frees us from the constant need for more. So often, we feel that we are incomplete, that we need something more to be happy: a new job, a bigger house, more money, more success. But when we begin to appreciate the small moments in life, we start to see that true fulfillment doesn't come from acquiring more. Instead, it comes from appreciating what we already have and fully experiencing the moments that are already part of our lives. By embracing the concept of Ichigo Ichie and recognizing the irreplaceable value of each moment, we free ourselves from the anxiety of constantly striving for more. We stop looking for happiness outside of ourselves and begin to find it in the here and now. And in doing so, we unlock a deeper sense of joy and contentment that isn't dependent on external circumstances, but on our ability to fully engage with the present. Ultimately, life is not a race or a puzzle to be solved. It's a collection of unique, beautiful moments that we are fortunate enough to experience. By slowing down, becoming more mindful, and appreciating the fleeting nature of each moment, we can transform our lives from a series of rushed tasks to a rich tapestry of lived experiences. And in doing so, we may just discover that happiness was never something to chase after, it was something to experience in the here and now. Life moves at a pace that can feel overwhelming, and in the midst of our busy schedules, it's all too easy to fall into the trap of believing that happiness lies in more achievements, more possessions, more experiences. We often think that if we could just reach the next milestone, we would finally feel fulfilled. And so, we chase after these distant goals, constantly striving for more. The reality, however, is that joy doesn't necessarily come from reaching the next big thing. In fact, the most profound moments of happiness often come from the smallest of things, the simple, everyday experiences that we frequently overlook. Buddhist wisdom teaches us to embrace the practice of gratitude, not by seeking out grand gestures or life-changing events, but by paying attention to the tiny moments that fill our days. These moments, often perceived as insignificant, are where true joy can be found. In the frenzy of our fast-paced lives, we may overlook them, but when we stop and reflect, we realize that these small, everyday occurrences are what give life its richness. The practice of gratitude can have a profound impact on our well-being. It shifts our focus from what is missing in our lives to what is already present, often turning our perspective on its head. Instead of feeling like we need more, gratitude helps us recognize the abundance that already exists in our lives. It invites us to slow down and be present, to appreciate what we have, and to notice the simple joys that surround us. One of the simplest ways to cultivate gratitude is by taking a few moments at the end of each day to reflect on the small things that brought you joy. This might seem trivial, but it's in these moments that we begin to see life's beauty. Maybe it's the sound of your favorite song on the radio, or the feeling of a warm hug from a friend. Perhaps it's the aroma of your morning coffee, or the feeling of the sun on your face as you walk outside. These moments, while fleeting, are the essence of a happy life. They are often overlooked in the rush to get to the next thing. But when we pause and take notice, they are the pieces that fill our lives with meaning. There's a powerful practice that can help train our minds to focus on these small joys. A few years ago, I had a mentor who shared with me a simple but life-changing practice. Every night before bed, she would take a moment to write down 3 things that made her smile that day. It could be as small as hearing her dog bark in excitement when she came home, or receiving a compliment from a stranger. Sometimes, it was as simple as watching a sunset or having a good conversation with a friend. These moments, though small, were what filled her heart with gratitude and joy. Over time, this practice helped her shift her mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. She stopped focusing on what she didn't have or what she was still striving for and started paying attention to the blessings already present in her life. It was a simple habit, but it transformed the way she viewed the world. Instead of feeling dissatisfied with the things that were missing, she learned to find fulfillment in the simple, everyday moments that often go unnoticed. This shift in perspective is at the heart of Buddhist teachings on gratitude. It's not about waiting for the next big thing to bring you happiness. It's about recognizing that the small moments we experience every day are where true joy resides. Life is full of these moments, but they often pass by unnoticed because we're too focused on the future or too distracted by the demands of daily life. Imagine, for a moment, the feeling of waking up in the morning. The first few moments of the day are often quiet and peaceful. You stretch, you take a deep breath, and maybe you notice the light streaming through your window or hear the sounds of birds outside. These simple moments that happen every day are easy to take for granted. But when we stop and pay attention, they become a source of joy. By practicing gratitude for these small, everyday experiences, we start to cultivate a deeper appreciation for life itself. In Buddhist philosophy, the practice of mindfulness is central to this approach. Mindfulness encourages us to be fully present in the moment, to focus on what is happening right now, rather than getting lost in thoughts about the past or the future. This mindfulness can be applied to every aspect of our lives, including our interactions with others, our work, and our everyday routines. When we bring mindfulness into our daily experiences, we start to see the beauty in the smallest things, whether it's enjoying the flavor of our food, feeling the warmth of the sun on our skin, or simply being with a loved one. Each of these moments has the potential to bring us joy if we approach them with gratitude and awareness. Gratitude also helps us cultivate a deeper sense of contentment. In a world that constantly tells us to strive for more, to keep pushing forward, and to achieve greater success, it can be easy to feel dissatisfied with what we have. We live in a culture that often equates happiness with material wealth or external accomplishments. But when we take the time to practice gratitude, we begin to realize that the key to happiness isn't found in what we don't have, but in what we already possess. The simple moments, the small pleasures, the fleeting experiences, they are the true treasures of life. Take, for example, a moment when you're sitting with a loved one, sharing a meal or a conversation. In those moments, there's no need for anything else. The connection, the presence of the other person, the shared experience, these things are enough. In fact, they are more than enough. They are the very things that make life meaningful. When we practice gratitude for these moments, we are reminded that happiness isn't something we need to chase. It's something we can create right here, right now, by simply appreciating the life we have and the small moments that make it beautiful. As you go through your day, try to notice these small moments. Pay attention to the things that make you smile, the little pleasures that might otherwise go unnoticed. Whether it's the sound of laughter, the scent of fresh flowers, or the warmth of a hug, these moments are opportunities for gratitude. Take a moment to appreciate them, and you'll find that your life becomes richer, more fulfilling, and more joyful. Gratitude has the power to transform your mindset, to shift your focus from what you don't have to what you already do. It's a simple practice, but one that can make all the difference in how we experience life. Have you ever found yourself trying to control something that was completely out of your hands? Maybe it was a relationship that seemed to be drifting, or a career path that didn't unfold the way you had envisioned. It could even be something as seemingly trivial as a small inconvenience that derailed your entire day. The more we try to control these situations, the more frustrated we become, and the further we seem to get from peace. This is the paradox that life presents us with. The harder we push against the natural flow, the more resistance we encounter. To understand this paradox more clearly, let's imagine trying to change the course of a river. You stand at the edge, in the middle of its flow, trying with all your might to redirect the current. No matter how hard you push, the river flows on its path, indifferent to your efforts. This is what life feels like when we cling to the illusion of control. We might think we can bend it to our will, manipulate it to our advantage, or shape it into the outcome we desire. But the truth is that life, like the river, has its own flow. No matter how hard we try to change it, we cannot stop it, nor can we force it to behave in the way we want. Buddhism offers profound wisdom in this regard. The teachings of Buddhism tell us that true peace and contentment come not from trying to control every aspect of life, but from learning to surrender to life's natural flow. This doesn't mean giving up or being passive. Surrendering in this context doesn't imply resignation or a lack of ambition. On the contrary, It means fully embracing the understanding that there will always be things beyond our control. And instead of resisting them, we learn to embrace them with grace and acceptance. It's a recognition that we cannot control everything, and that peace lies in letting go of the need to force outcomes. The irony of trying to control everything is that it often leads to more stress and anxiety. The tighter we grip life, the more it seems to slip through our fingers. This is especially true when we try to control things that are inherently uncontrollable, such as other people's actions or the flow of time. Think about the times when you've tried to control a situation, maybe in a work project, a relationship, or even your own emotions. The more you focus on managing every detail, the more overwhelmed you feel. It's a constant struggle that leaves you exhausted, and ultimately, it's fruitless. Life doesn't work by our rigid plans or expectations. In fact, the more we try to force things, the more we seem to encounter resistance. I remember a period in my own life when I was obsessed with controlling every aspect of my career. I wanted to achieve a certain outcome by a specific time. I set strict goals, timelines, and benchmarks, believing that if I just worked hard enough and stayed disciplined, everything would fall into place exactly as I had envisioned. But when things didn't go according to plan, when obstacles arose, or when I missed a deadline, I became stressed, anxious, and frustrated. I had invested so much emotional energy into forcing an outcome that I couldn't bear the thought of anything deviating from my expectations. It wasn't until I learned to shift my focus from controlling the outcome to embracing the process that I began to find peace. This shift didn't mean I stopped striving for success or giving up on my goals. Rather, it meant that I stopped clinging to the outcome and allowed myself to be present in the process. I learned to approach my work with a sense of curiosity, without attachment to how things would turn out. I began to recognize that some things were simply beyond my control, whether it was market conditions, the timing of a business decision, or the actions of others, and instead of fighting against them, I embraced them with acceptance. By doing this, I found that my stress and anxiety began to subside. I could still pursue my goals with intention, but the attachment to a specific outcome no longer ruled my emotions. This practice of surrendering to life's flow can be liberating. Instead of feeling like we are constantly fighting against the current, we begin to move with it. There is a deep sense of relief that comes from letting go of the need to control everything. In fact, when we surrender, we often find that things unfold in ways we couldn't have anticipated. The natural flow of life may bring us unexpected opportunities, new perspectives, or serendipitous encounters that we would have missed if we had been too focused on controlling every detail. Take, for instance, the experience of traveling. When we plan a trip, we often have specific expectations about how things should unfold, what the weather will be like, how we will get from one place to another, and the exact itinerary we want to follow. But more often than not, things don't go as planned. Flights get delayed, trains break down, or we end up discovering something completely unexpected. When we try to control every part of our travel experience, we often miss out on the beauty and spontaneity of the journey itself. However, when we let go of the need for everything to go perfectly, we open ourselves up to the possibility of joy in the unplanned moments, the chance encounter with a local, the unexpected detour that leads us to a hidden gem, or the serendipitous discovery of a new passion. The key here is not about being passive or resigning ourselves to fate, but rather about recognizing that some aspects of life are outside of our control and learning to accept and work with that reality. It's about becoming more adaptable, more fluid, and more open to the possibilities that life presents us. By doing so, we allow ourselves to experience life in its fullest form, free from the constant pressure to control and perfect every detail. Surrendering to life's flow doesn't mean giving up our goals or dreams. Instead, it's about learning to pursue them with an open heart, free from the need to control every outcome. It's about trusting the process and understanding that, while we may not be able to control everything, we do have the power to control how we respond to life's uncertainties. By shifting our focus from control to acceptance, we open ourselves to a deeper, more peaceful way of living, one where we can navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. In the end, life will continue to flow, Just like the river, we can either stand against it, trying to change its course, or we can choose to let go, allow ourselves to be carried along, and find peace in the journey. The paradox is that when we stop trying so hard to control everything, we often find that things unfold even better than we could have imagined. Buddhism teaches us a simple yet profound truth. Joy is not something we chase, nor is it something that can be found in distant goals or future achievements. It is something we create in the present moment. The real essence of joy lies not in the grand milestones of life, but in the smallest, often overlooked moments. Every moment presents us with an opportunity to be fully present, to acknowledge its beauty and significance, to experience it with all of our senses and attention. How often do we walk through our day, caught in a constant whirlwind of thoughts and distractions, without truly experiencing the moment at hand? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to fall into this trap. Our minds are constantly occupied with thoughts about the past, the future, or our ever-growing to-do lists. We're rarely fully present, and as a result, we miss out on the richness that each moment has to offer. We rush through meals without savoring the taste, rush through conversations without truly listening, and rush through life without appreciating the beauty that surrounds us. To understand the power of presence, consider how you move through your daily routine. Are you truly present in each moment, or are you just going through the motions? Your mind preoccupied with the next task or the worries of the future? Many of us find ourselves stuck in this cycle, constantly thinking ahead and rarely stopping to experience the present. But it's in these present moments, when we stop and pay attention, that we can begin to cultivate the joy that we often seek outside of ourselves. One of the simplest ways to practice presence is to start small. Begin by focusing on one thing at a time. Whether it's eating, walking, or listening, these small practices can help us bring our attention back to the present, away from the distractions that constantly pull us away from the here and now. We tend to think of mindfulness as something complex or time-consuming, but it's actually about being intentional in each moment, no matter how simple the task. Take eating, for example. How often do we eat our meals while scrolling through our phones, watching TV, or thinking about what we'll do next? The food in front of us becomes secondary, and we lose the opportunity to really savor it. Try pausing the next time you sit down to eat and truly focusing on the experience. Notice the texture, the taste, the aroma of the food. With each bite, take a moment to appreciate the nourishment it provides. This simple act of presence can transform the mundane task of eating into a rich, joyful experience. Similarly, when you go for a walk, take the time to notice the world around you. Are you rushing to your destination, or are you paying attention to the rhythm of your steps, the feel of the air on your skin, the sounds of birds or traffic, the smell of the trees or flowers? By slowing down and focusing on your surroundings, you'll find that the act of walking becomes more than just a way to get from one place to another. It becomes an opportunity to be fully present, to experience the world with fresh eyes. A friend of mine once shared with me how he practiced mindful walking. Every day, he would take a walk through a nearby park, but rather than rushing through it or zoning out, he would pay careful attention to every step he took. He focused on the rhythm of his breath, the feel of his feet against the ground, and the sounds of nature around him. At first, it might seem like a small thing, but this simple practice transformed his daily routine into an opportunity for mindfulness. Over time, he found that these walks not only helped him relieve stress, but also filled him with a sense of peace and joy that he hadn't experienced before. Incorporating mindfulness into our daily routines doesn't require drastic changes or additional time commitments. It's about being fully present in whatever task or activity we're doing, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. Whether you're washing dishes, taking a shower, or having a conversation, these everyday moments provide a chance to practice presence. When we stop multitasking and focus on the task at hand, we allow ourselves to experience it more fully, to appreciate it in a way that we might otherwise miss. For example, the next time you're having a conversation with a friend or colleague, try to give them your full attention. Put away your phone. Stop thinking about what you're going to say next, and simply listen. Notice their facial expressions, the tone of their voice, the words they use. and the emotions they convey. When we truly listen, we create a deeper connection, not only with the person we're speaking to, but also with ourselves, because we're grounded in the present moment. Another example comes from a simple activity that many of us perform daily: driving. It's easy to let our minds wander when we're behind the wheel, but the next time you drive, try to bring your attention to the act of driving itself. Focus on the feel of the steering wheel, the sounds of the engine, the rhythm of your foot on the pedal. Notice the surroundings as you pass by the trees, the buildings, the people walking down the street. By bringing your attention to the present, you not only make the experience more enjoyable, but you also become more aware of your surroundings, which can enhance safety and mindfulness while driving. These are all small ways to practice presence, and when combined, they can significantly shift how we experience life. The more we practice being fully present, the more we realize that joy isn't something that exists only in the future or in distant dreams. Joy is found in the here and now, in the simple moments that make up our everyday lives. It's in the act of being present with ourselves, with others, and with the world around us. Buddhism teaches that happiness doesn't come from external sources, but from our ability to cultivate awareness and appreciation of the present moment. Every moment is an opportunity to create joy, to be mindful, and to connect more deeply with life. But this requires effort. It's not always easy to let go of distractions, to focus on what's in front of us, or to appreciate the beauty of the mundane. But the more we practice, the easier it becomes, and the more we find ourselves living a life full of joy and contentment. In the end, presence is a gift we give ourselves. It's the ability to live fully in the moment, to experience life as it is, without constantly striving for something else or wishing for things to be different. When we practice presence, we begin to see the beauty in the smallest things: the sound of the wind, the taste of our food, the warmth of a hug, and we create a life that is rich with joy and meaning. Life, as we know it, is constantly changing, impermanent in its very nature. Nothing stays the same. People, circumstances, emotions, and even our surroundings are in a state of flux. This is one of the core truths of Buddhism, encapsulated in the teaching of Anicca, or impermanence. While at first glance, this might seem like a sad or unsettling realization, it is, in fact, a profound source of freedom. Embracing the impermanence of life offers us the opportunity to live more fully, without the burden of clinging to what is fleeting. It's a path to peace, contentment, and freedom. Many of us find it difficult to accept impermanence. We often try to hold on to things, people, and even experiences, as if by doing so, we can preserve them in some way. This is especially true when it comes to possessions or relationships. We want to hold on to the things we love, fearing that if we let them go, we'll lose them forever. We often get caught up in the desire for stability, in the yearning to keep things exactly as they are. However, the more we cling to these attachments, the more we suffer. The Buddhist teaching of impermanence shows us that trying to hold on to things that are inherently transient only creates unnecessary stress and dissatisfaction. Take, for example, the way we often relate to our emotions. How many times have you tried to avoid feelings of sadness, anger, or frustration, thinking that if you could just push them away, they would disappear forever? But emotions, like all things in life, are transient. They rise, they fall, and they pass away. The more we resist or try to hold on to them, the more we create an internal struggle. Buddhism teaches that when we accept the impermanence of our emotions, whether positive or negative, we allow ourselves to experience them fully. Without being trapped by them, we can let sadness flow through us, knowing it will pass, just as joy does. The same principle applies to the people and relationships in our lives. Relationships change, and people come and go. We cannot hold on to friendships or loved ones forever, no matter how much we might want to. But this impermanence does not diminish the value of these relationships. Rather, it makes them more precious. When we realize that we will not always have certain people in our lives, we can appreciate and cherish the time we do have with them. This appreciation for the present moment allows us to live more fully and authentically, without the constant fear of losing what we love. Imagine the cherry blossoms in Japan. For example, These delicate flowers bloom for a short period every spring, only to wither and fall shortly thereafter. The short-lived nature of the cherry blossoms is precisely what makes them so beautiful and significant. People from all walks of life gather to admire them during their fleeting bloom, knowing that they will never see those same blossoms again. This recognition of impermanence deepens the appreciation for their beauty. It is not in spite of their short lifespan, but because of it, that these blossoms are cherished. The impermanence of the cherry blossoms teaches us a valuable lesson. The beauty of life lies in its fleeting moments. The fact that something is temporary does not diminish its worth, it enhances it. When we embrace the impermanence of life, we are no longer burdened by the need to control or hold on to what is constantly changing. We stop resisting the flow of life and begin to experience it as it is, in its fullness. This acceptance frees us from the pain of attachment and opens up space for new experiences, growth, and joy. Instead of constantly trying to hold on to things that we cannot keep, we learn to let go, to accept, and to appreciate what is before us, knowing that it too will pass. Take a moment to think about your own life. Are there areas where you're holding on too tightly? Perhaps it's a possession that you're afraid of losing, or a relationship that you're clinging to out of fear or insecurity. When you realize that everything in life is impermanent, you begin to understand that nothing lasts forever, not the good moments, nor the difficult ones. This understanding gives us the freedom to live with a sense of detachment, not in the sense of not caring, but in the sense of letting go of the expectation that everything will stay the same. The more we learn to live with this understanding of impermanence, the more we cultivate an attitude of gratitude for what we have in the present. We no longer take things for granted because we know that everything is fleeting. Whether it's a beautiful sunset, a conversation with a friend, or a moment of quiet solitude, each of these moments becomes an opportunity to appreciate the preciousness of life. We don't have to wait for the perfect moment or for things to be permanent in order to enjoy them. The temporary nature of life makes each moment all the more meaningful. Moreover, embracing impermanence doesn't mean resigning ourselves to a life of constant loss. It doesn't mean that we can't create lasting memories or enjoy the relationships and experiences that come our way. Instead, it means recognizing that all things, including our own lives, are in a constant state of change. And when we accept that change, we free ourselves from the fear of it. We no longer live in constant anxiety about what might be lost. Instead, we live fully in the present, appreciating the beauty of what is, knowing that it is fleeting. In fact, this acceptance of impermanence can deepen our connection to the world around us. When we understand that nothing lasts forever, we are more likely to be present and engaged with the people, experiences, and moments that matter most. We don't waste time worrying about the future or regretting the past. We embrace each moment for what it is, fully appreciating its value before it slips away. A powerful example of embracing impermanence can be seen in the practice of meditation. Meditation often involves focusing on the breath and observing the flow of thoughts and feelings without judgment or attachment. When you meditate, you are practicing the art of observing without clinging. Thoughts arise and pass, feelings come and go, and the breath flows in and out. The impermanence of each moment is experienced directly, and in this experience, there is freedom. You are not bound by the need to control the flow of thoughts or emotions. You simply let them be, knowing they will pass. In this acceptance, you find peace. In the same way, we can practice embracing impermanence in our everyday lives. When something changes, whether it's a relationship, a job, or a plan, we don't have to resist it. Instead, we can observe it, let go of our attachments to how things should be, and appreciate what is happening in the present moment. This practice of embracing impermanence is not a call to passivity, but an invitation to fully engage with life as it unfolds. As we navigate life's ups and downs, we can always return to the wisdom of impermanence as a source of strength and perspective. The more we practice letting go, the more we come to understand that life is not about holding on to what we can't keep, but about living fully in the moments that we have, knowing that they are precious precisely because they are fleeting. Embrace impermanence, and you will find freedom in the midst of change. Buddhism, with its timeless wisdom, offers us essential teachings that can radically transform the way we experience life. At the core of this wisdom is the idea that life is not a race or a puzzle to be solved, but rather a journey of precious, fleeting moments. These moments are often overlooked in the hustle of daily life, but by taking the time to truly experience them, we unlock the profound peace and joy that have always been available to us. Through the practices of gratitude, presence, surrender, and embracing impermanence, we can create a life full of meaning and contentment. The first key teaching is the uniqueness and preciousness of every moment. We live in a culture that is obsessed with goals, achievements, and the constant pursuit of what's next. However, the true essence of life doesn't lie in future milestones or possessions, but in the richness of the present moment. Every experience, no matter how small, is a unique and irreplaceable gift. If we learn to pause and appreciate these moments, we can begin to savor life rather than merely rush through it. Take, for example, the simple act of drinking a cup of coffee in the morning. Most of us, in the rush of getting ready for the day, drink our coffee without even thinking about it. We may hold the cup in our hands, but our minds are elsewhere, already thinking about meetings, deadlines, or what's next on our agenda. But what if, instead of rushing through it, we fully embrace that moment? What if we focused on the warmth of the cup, the aroma of the coffee, and the small comfort it provides? By being present in that moment, we transform the mundane into something beautiful, something to be savored and appreciated. This is a simple yet powerful way to reconnect with the present and find joy in life's simplest pleasures. Similarly, the practice of gratitude is key to experiencing joy in everyday moments. Gratitude is not about seeking grand gestures or monumental achievements. It's about recognizing and appreciating the small things that fill our lives. Buddhist wisdom encourages us to take time at the end of each day to reflect on 3 things that brought us joy. These can be as small as the sound of your favorite song playing on the radio, the warmth of a hug from a friend, or the satisfaction of completing a task at work. By acknowledging these small moments of happiness, we train our minds to focus on abundance rather than scarcity. Over time, this practice can shift our perception, allowing us to see life's treasures even in the most ordinary experiences. A couple of years ago, I had a mentor who introduced me to the practice of keeping a gratitude journal. Every night, before going to bed, she would write down 3 things that made her smile that day. It could be as simple as the smile of a stranger or the sound of birds chirping in the morning. At first, I was skeptical. It seemed like a small and perhaps trivial practice, but as I committed to it over time, I noticed a shift in my mindset. Instead of focusing on what I didn't have or what wasn't going right, I began to see the abundance in my life. I learned to appreciate the moments that were often overlooked, the quiet moments of connection, the beauty in nature, and the joy in simple acts of kindness. This practice of gratitude changed the way I viewed my life, making me more content and at peace with the present. Another profound teaching of Buddhism is the concept of surrendering to life's natural flow. How many times have we tried to control situations or outcomes, only to find ourselves frustrated and exhausted? This is a common experience. We try to force life to unfold according to our will, but the more we push, the more resistant life becomes. This is where the practice of surrender comes in. It doesn't mean giving up or resigning ourselves to passivity. Rather, it's about understanding that there are aspects of life beyond our control and learning to accept them with grace. I remember a time when I was deeply frustrated with my career path. I had a very specific goal in mind, and I worked tirelessly to achieve it. But no matter how hard I worked, things never seemed to go as planned. I would become anxious, stressed, and overwhelmed, trying to control every aspect of the situation. It wasn't until I let go of my rigid expectations and focused on doing my best, without obsessing over the outcome, that I found peace. I learned that I couldn't control everything, but I could control my attitude, my effort, and my willingness to adapt to whatever came my way. Surrendering to life's flow doesn't mean giving up. It means finding freedom in accepting what is, and trusting that the right opportunities will come at the right time. Being present in the moment is another key lesson from Buddhist wisdom. How often do we find ourselves thinking about the past or the future, missing out on the beauty of the present moment? We're constantly chasing after what's next, whether it's a goal, a milestone, or an achievement. But happiness is not found in what we chase, it's found in what we experience right now. The key to happiness is presence. When we focus on being fully engaged in whatever we are doing, whether it's eating, walking, or talking, we cultivate a deeper sense of connection with ourselves and the world around us. One of the simplest ways to practice presence is through mindfulness. This practice is about being fully aware of the present moment, without judgment or distraction. A friend of mine once shared how he practiced mindful walking. Every day, he would take a walk in the park, but rather than rushing through it or zoning out, he would pay attention to every step he took, the rhythm of his breath, and the sounds of nature around him. What seemed like a simple activity became a powerful practice in presence. By slowing down and being aware of each step, he transformed his daily walk into a meaningful experience. This practice of mindfulness, while small, can create profound shifts in our experience of the world. Lastly, Buddhism teaches us the profound truth of impermanence. Life is always changing. People come and go. Emotions rise and fall. The seasons change, and nothing remains static. While we may resist this change, it's important to recognize that impermanence is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. When we accept the transient nature of life, we free ourselves from attachment and open ourselves to the beauty of each moment. The impermanence of life makes each moment more precious, more meaningful. Consider the example of the cherry blossoms in Japan. These delicate flowers bloom for a short period each spring, and their beauty is all the more striking because of their fleeting nature. People gather to appreciate them, knowing that they will never see those exact blossoms again. This understanding of impermanence makes the experience even more precious. Life, like the cherry blossoms, is temporary, but rather than feeling sad or fearful about it, we can choose to embrace it. By doing so, we learn to appreciate each moment for what it is, rather than clinging to what we wish it to be. In conclusion, the wisdom of Buddhism offers a profound and life-changing perspective on how to live more fully. Every moment is a gift, and when we learn to appreciate it, we open ourselves to a life of joy, peace, and contentment. By practicing gratitude, presence, surrender, and embracing impermanence, we can free ourselves from the anxiety and frustration that comes from trying to control life. Instead, we can cultivate a life of fulfillment, knowing that happiness is not something we need to chase, it's something we create, one precious moment at a time. Wow, what a journey we've just taken together. If you've been with me this whole time, I hope you're beginning to see life through a new lens. Imagine how different your daily experience would be if you embraced the philosophy of Ichigo Ichie, seeing each moment as a once-in-a-lifetime encounter, cherishing its uniqueness, and savoring the little things that make life beautiful. As we explored, true happiness isn't something we need to chase. It's not found in the future or in achieving a series of milestones. It's already here, in the simple, ordinary moments that make up our everyday lives. Whether it's the warmth of your morning coffee, the laughter of a loved one, or the peacefulness of a quiet evening, these are the things that matter. They are the threads that weave together a life of contentment, and they are available to us all if only we take the time to notice them. But that's not all. The more we learn to embrace the impermanence of life, the more we free ourselves from attachment and control. The more we let go of expectations and the need to control outcomes, the more we allow ourselves to live fully in the present. The truth is, life is unpredictable. The river of life flows in its own direction, regardless of how much we struggle to steer it. And when we surrender to that flow, we experience a deeper sense of peace, knowing that we can't control everything, but we can control how we respond to it. And it's not just about the grand moments either. It's about how we show up for each small, seemingly insignificant moment. By practicing presence, we can turn the most mundane aspects of life into opportunities for mindfulness and joy. The simple act of walking through the park, eating a meal, or listening to a song, if done with full awareness, can transform those moments into profound experiences that nourish our soul. We also discussed how gratitude has the power to unlock more joy in our lives. By reflecting on 3 small moments of happiness every day, we train our minds to focus on abundance rather than scarcity. This simple practice can radically shift the way we experience the world, helping us see the beauty that already exists around us. So, if you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or disconnected from the present moment, take a step back and remember this. Life is not about racing towards some distant finish line. It's about being fully present, embracing each fleeting moment, and learning to appreciate the beauty in the simplest of things. The wisdom of Ichigo Ichie offers us a profound invitation. Stop rushing, slow down, and savor the moment. Whether you're drinking your morning coffee or walking down the street, take a deep breath and allow yourself to be fully present. You may just find that happiness isn't something you need to chase, it's something you can create, moment by moment. Before we wrap up, if you enjoyed today's video and feel like these teachings could help someone else, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world to me and helps us reach more people with this powerful message. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much for being part of this community. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What moment of your day do you cherish the most? Let's keep this conversation going and spread the joy of living in the present. Thank you for watching. And remember, every moment is precious. Don't let it slip by unnoticed.